Okay, we're live on YouTube. Meeting is yours, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, thank you. It is 7 o'clock and I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Township of Lyon Board of Trustees, Monday, April 5th, 2021. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Kelly, could you please call roll?
Lisa Place,
Present in Lyon Township.
Michelle Cash,
Present in Lyon Township.
John Dolan,
Present, Lyon Township.
Christopher Enlow,
Present in Lyon Township.
Sean O'Neill,
Here and in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina.
and Robert Swain.
Present in Lyon Township, sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we will note that Treasurer Carconi is on vacation. Thank you. Let's move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have anything to add or?
I will move the approval of the agenda as submitted.
I'll support. Michelle Cash.
Motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we'll move on to announcements and communications. Anyone have anything they'd like to share?
We just have our upcoming election for the Northville schools on May 4th. So if anybody in the Northville School District, which is Precinct 7 in Lyon Township, would like to have an absentee ballot, please contact the clerk's office.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
I've got one for you, John.
Yeah.
And now this will be my little PSA to get your screen grab tool out. I'm going to share a screen. The Planning Commission has gone through and we've prepared a survey for the master plan goals and objectives that we've been working on recently. And so there's going to be a link put on the township's website tomorrow morning. We'll work with Catherine to get that up, both at on the main page on the little pop-up, on the Planning Commission screen, and on the Planning Department screen. So, but if you would like, the survey is technically live as of this morning, so you can visit it here. It'll take you 10 to 15 minutes to complete. And we really look forward to getting all the input that we can from both the boards and the residents.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Brian. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to the call to the public, whereas anyone can go ahead and voice their opinion on things that are non-agenda related. Please take only 3 minutes if possible, and the floor is open.
Okay, we have a couple callers in the meeting. If anyone would like to make a comment, press *9 on your keypad, and then we will call on you. And then say your name and address for the record. *9 to raise your hand. No hands raised at the moment. We'll give it a minute. Okay, no hands raised.
No hands up. Okay, I'm going to close call to the public. We're going to move on to reports. First up in reports is the DDA. Tina, anything from the DDA?
Yeah, I have a couple of things I want to share. Good evening, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to give you a recap of what I've been working on with our task force that is a joint group with the Chamber of Commerce and also the City of South Lyon. So you can see over here, we do have our Facebook page that's still up and running. We have about 136 businesses that are actively participating in it. And this is the page that is used to communicate information about grants and any type of additional assistance. You can see here on March 5th, information about when the COVID restrictions were relaxed. We've also recently shared information from the new act that was signed in by President Biden, where the restaurants will be receiving a refund of their losses or their difference between the revenue loss between 2019 and 2020. So it was some really important information that we're passing on to our small business owners, making sure that they're informed. Also, the task force has launched its third round survey for the business owners in our area. Our objective with this survey is to assess what their needs are at this time. We've done this twice before, and it's been very helpful in providing us direction on where to spend our time and resources on assisting our small businesses at this during the COVID crisis. We continue to implement the Restaurant Relief Grant Program. You can see some photos here of some of our domes and also the greenhouses that are up and running. Some of the businesses have gotten really creative and have created backdrops and decorated the interior of them. When you drive by in the evening, in particular over at Kensington Grill, you can actually see their lights from the freeway. So I think that the program's been working really well. And of course, then the next phase is going to be a reimbursement program that we're going to put together to see if we can get some money back to those restaurants who were paying for winterization prior to the grant being installed. Also, we're going to be putting up our local, dine local and shop local feather flags again this spring. Now with the warmer weather, we can get those stakes back in the ground. So you'll look to see those on display. And we're also continuing to support our restaurants by reposting information on a Facebook page. We're going to be doing some Love for Lion window clings that people can buy and put in their cars and at their place of business. And I also just wanted to remind people that we do still have t-shirts available. T-shirt sales, all the sales that are garnered from these t-shirts, around $10 for every t-shirt is put back into a fund that we use to redirect back into the marketing. And you can see that the logo itself, the Love for Lion logo, changes based on the seasons. This is our current one at the top where we put a little daisy flower in there. So just trying to stay relevant and current. And then we were also part of a major campaign for a Love for Lion libraries and Love for Reading. And this gave our businesses an opportunity to connect to the community that was not COVID related at all. And so you can see we had some really good turnout with folks sharing the books that they're reading and why they love our libraries. And then I just wanted to give you an update too on Kite Fest. We are holding Kite Fest. The committee has been meeting on a regular basis now. It will be held on June 5th and 6th. We are staying abreast of all of the restrictions and limitations that are in place, and we're hoping that by June, a lot of those will be lifted. But we are still seeking sponsorships. However, taking into consideration COVID, they are offering a 50% discount on all of these levels of participation. So if anyone is interested, they can reach out to the Line Events Organization or to myself. And then lastly, I just wanted to give some information. I've been doing an audit of all of our businesses, and right now I've counted up to 391 businesses, both commercial and industrial, here in the township. And in the last 7 years, we've added 93 new businesses. With that in mind, I have been working with our chamber on getting some more ribbon cutting events scheduled for the spring. And so you can look to see some of that coming up. And then lastly, I just wanted to announce too, I know a lot of folks understand that I will be leaving my position in June of this year. And so we have a committee established with the DDA and with John Dolan to put together and finalize the job description that will be posted hopefully within the next week. And that would conclude my report.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Any questions for Tina? Good job, Tina.
No.
Okay, moving on to the chief, fire chief. Chief, anything?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, just real brief. I mean, nothing, it was a not a whole lot going on, but just wanted to let you know that the contract negotiations continue, and the PPE that we just got a large shipment from Oakland County. So I think we're well, we don't have any room for more storage, so we have plenty of PPE going forward, and really that's about it.
Great. Thanks, Chief. It's good we have all the PPE though. That's a good thing.
We
Moving
do.
on. Lieutenant, anything?
All right.
going on today?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to let you guys know that over the weekend, one of my deputies was injured. They were trying to take a guy into custody on a felony warrant, and a fight ensued, and they ended up having to tase him, chase him for a little bit, and when he fell to the ground, he kind of banged his knee. He's okay. He's in good spirits. His knee's just swollen. He's expected to make a full recovery, but he'll be off for a week right now until he gets rechecked. But he's okay. The next thing we got going is April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. So you can expect to see some of the police agencies in our area out in force. They will be looking for individuals that are texting and driving or distracted, and we'll be issuing citations. So it's very important to the people in the public. If you have to make a phone call, please pull over to the side of the road or get your hands-free device. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported over 18,000 crashes in Michigan that were related to distracted driving, with 70 of those being fatal. So, I mean, the purpose of this isn't to generate revenue, it's just to save lives. So we can encourage people to do that. It'll make all safer for everyone. That's all I got.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions for Lieutenant?
Nope.
All right, we're gonna move on to Planning Commission, and Treasurer is on vacation. Brian, I don't know if there's anything you would like to add to Planning Commission things, or?
Just we've got Grand River LLC West Building. We held the special land use public hearing in March. We've been working on the master plan with the Planning Commission, and we've got some big cases upcoming here this month of April. So lots going on in the township.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on, ZBA, Trustee Blades, anything good, ZBA?
Yes, we had 3 items. One dealt with requesting a variance for to accommodate parking, and that was on the let's see, William K. Smith Drive, and that was that variance was approved. We had another variance requested for some to deal with some parking for the Lion Cantina, the former site of that restaurant, and they're building the new one. And it did also involve a setback variance for a trash enclosure. And that we spent a considerable amount of time discussing how to make sure that there was some kind of screening for that. And one of the conditions was to install a complete visual barrier in accordance with our current ordinances. And then we had another applicant for a dead end, a variance for the length of the dead end road. And that was granted as well. And we have a meeting this month as on April 19th.
Good job. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Lisa?
No.
Okay, move on to the Park Advisory Board. Trustee Swain, anything going on there?
Hey, we just we had another presentation dealing with the baseball fields from Junior League. Went through a couple other small discussion items, but the main thing I wanted to give an update on is that we're looking at a tentative May 22nd date for our movie. And in the next couple days here, we should be putting out a survey to just do a final selection of what film we'll be showing. So if anyone has any nominations they'd like to put in the running, let me know in the next day or two.
Did you say May 22nd?
Yes.
That's a great day, by the way. Glad you picked that.
Good.
That's my birthday.
Oh, really? Well, hey, we'll put a little.
John will be 75 this year.
Hey, come on now. All right, moving on to the water. I am not sure if Ed is with us. It looks like he might be. I see 4224 on the bottom there.
Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ed.
Okay. So an update on the water. The water softening is 5 minor questions away from being approved at the Woodwind facility. We're getting those answers around right now and sending them in. They're nothing that's going to be a showstopper at all. They're just clarification questions, basically. So we should have approval at Woodwind here in the next, I don't know, couple weeks, I guess. And we'll go from there. And once we get approval, we'll start fabricating the equipment and hopefully have soft water coming at you. I don't know. The way things are right now is with material, it's taking a lot of longer lead time to get items. So I don't want to. I'll get you a schedule after we get approval and we can get things going and on order as far as material. Okay, and we'll get you a schedule and try to put that together so that we can put a date certain on energizing the softening plant. Okay.
Great.
Any questions on the softening?
Anyone have any questions?
Nope, just glad we're
Just
to this
glad you
point.
got it.
Yeah, that's just been a tough one. As I told you before, you'll be the first one in Michigan out of municipality to have this type of softening, and I think the Eagles excited about it. We're excited about it, and it's a new technology and should work great for you. And you know, we're anxious to get it going. I do have one question, and forgive me if you guys have answered this already, because I've been out of the office traveling on business quite a bit, and I might be a little bit out of the loop on this, but the tank is going to start going up on 9 Mile and Griswold, and we need to know the that you want to put on there. And if it's different than what we originally talked, I think it's like the Love Lions, or I forget what it is. Is that what we want to go with?
I think that's probably going to take a little discussion. Maybe we can talk about that. When do you need to know that, Ed?
Well, if at all possible, I'd like to know this week so that we can keep right on going. The tank is going to start to go up starting Monday. So next week, middle next week would be fine, but we need to have some kind of answer here shortly. Okay. And
work on that. Let me work on that a little bit and see what I can come up with. We'll get some consensus from everyone, and we'll make sure everyone's involved.
Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate it. If you don't have any more questions for me, I'm going to hang up. Any other further questions?
Anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask Ed?
Nope. All good.
Okay.
I think
Great.
we're good, Ed.
Sounds good. All right.
Thanks for calling in.
Okay, great. Have a great evening.
You.
Yep,
Thanks.
bye.
Okay, that takes care of our reports, and we're going to go ahead and move on to unfinished business, which is the second reading of the adoption of the utility fees. And I think everything is in order to finally approve that. I don't think anything has changed from the first one.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion if everybody's ready, to approve ordinance number 3-21 to amend the schedule for the payment of capital charges for connection to the township sewer system contained in section 46 through 286.
Okay.
I'll support.
Is that Chris?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to new business. The first item is the Greystone Village, formerly known as Lion Station Plan Development. This is a final review, AP 17-57. Brian, do you want to bring that to us?
I will. Thank you, John. As you mentioned, this is the first reading of the final PD development plans for Greystone Village. This is on the east side of Griswold Road between 8 and 9 Mile. This is 37 units are proposed as single family homes. The property itself, excuse me, is just under 29 acres. Not a lot has changed since the preliminary phase that you approved in 2018. I'm sorry. It's still 37 units. It still has the exact same layout. Some of the lot sizes and shapes have shifted a little bit in terms of removing some easements that were not necessary. Changing some of the detention basin and forebay shapes slightly, but essentially what you saw previously is brought back to you today. The pathway has been placed along Griswold Road. There is now a, sorry, I should be sharing my screen. There's now a crosswalk located just at the entrance across to Deerhaven Drive. So that was one of the items that we discussed the last go around. We think all of the items that were noted during the township board review have been addressed. During the planning commission meeting, we were shown one of the items that's not specifically in this set of drawings is an illustration showing that decks and sunrooms and patios can fit within the building envelope and won't be impacted by easements. So that is something that we can ask the applicants to drop into this package. One of the other items that the township board talked about in 2018 was ensuring that the density of this project was appropriate. If you recall, its current zoning is industrial, even though it's master planned for single family residential. And so in our review, we've noted that the overall project density here is 1.88 dwelling units per acre. The property to the north across the railroad tracks is permitted 3 dwelling units per acre. And then the built development, Estates of Hudsfield, directly to the south is at 2.9 units per acre. So this is actually a lower density than is built to the south and could be built to the north. So we find from that perspective, it's appropriate as well. With that, I don't think I need to go into any significant more detail. I can take any questions that you have. I do know that the applicants are here tonight and have a brief presentation and can provide any more clarity on any issues that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Does anyone have any questions for Brian before we get to the applicants? Leslie, do you have anything to add first?
I would just like to reference our March 31st review letter. Should a motion in favor of the project, we would just like it to be a condition. There's some items that need to be addressed, but they can be handled administratively. And then I would like to mention in the PD agreement, there's a second portion of paragraph 7B relating to the roads that I would recommend be removed. And that just basically would not allow any building of homes on temporary gravel road. The roads would have to be paved prior to any home building construction. And
Okay, and I guess I'm going to interject at this point. I've reviewed the master deed, the bylaws, and the plan development agreement, and I find them to be acceptable. The paragraph that Leslie is referencing is something that we have used, before in the community and that I've used elsewhere. And it simply allows them to continue to construct homes if the asphalt plants have closed before they've had the opportunity to do a hard surface for the winter.
Okay, so any questions for Leslie or Carol, Brian, before we open it to the applicants?
I had a quick question regarding the Depot street name. Is that like set in stone right now? Because I thought we had a depot really close by.
That's a good catch, Michelle. We did have a discussion about that. And let me see.
We changed it.
They changed it to
Okay.
Blackstone Way. So that
Okay,
will
good.
be-
Yeah, it's just not on my plan. So Blackstone Way, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, if you'd like to open it up, the applicants are here, so you can go ahead and tell us, give us your little presentation. That'd be great.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor. My name is Bill Anderson. I'm with Atwell, and Joe Score, Vice President Pulte Homes, is here as well. I'll be very brief. I know everyone's got a lot going on, and Brian asked us to be brief, but I want to be respectful. So if I could give a couple minute presentation on our project, I'd like to do that.
Go ahead.
Can everyone see our screen there?
Nope, don't see it.
Am I sharing? No.
You're not.
Let me try that. Sharing there.
There we go.
Yes.
All right, full mode. Okay. Yeah, final PD approval in front of the board. Be glad to hear. Again, this is with Pulte Homes. I'm Bill Anderson with Atwell out of our Ann Arbor office. Glad to be here tonight. This project's had a long history from 2017 when it had PD waiver for the size of the project. And then it got preliminary approval in 18 for the 37 lots. And we have final PD from Planning Commission in February. So we're here to you tonight to get final PD. Again, we're on Griswold. It's a county primary 2-lane road. We got vacant land to the north. It's an interesting piece. We got a railroad immediately to the north and east of us, subdivision of the south, mobile home community to the southeast, and vacant homes to the west of us. Interesting shape, oddly shaped parcel, 29 acres, really triangular, and we have nice trees and a wetland and a regulated wetland in the middle of the site. So it's a pretty tough planning exercise for this project. Again, the zoning was light industrial originally. It's intended to be single family residential B, which is where we're at today. And this is really the project in a nutshell. Our unit size, our typical size came into B for the lot 63 feet wide by 120 deep. Our average lot is larger than that. It's about 8,600 square feet. Nice landscape boulevard entry, a little interior park as you come in. So be a nice eye catcher coming in. Over 51% open space. So it's a nicely done open space plan with a lot of that, almost 12 and a half acres or so of upland open space. So it's really nice. We got sidewalks on both sides of the public roads, and we got the nice Griswold bike path along our big frontage. A lot of frontage on this site. So we're excited. Pulte's proposed to do our high quality homes similar to the Hutsfield development immediately to the south. A lot of varied roof lines and architectural features. We're going to be doing single family homes, 3 to 4 bedrooms, contemporary interior layouts and finishes. These are a couple of the different elevations. If you wanted to see, you can go to the neighborhood immediately to the south. Brian had mentioned the rear yard exhibit. I know there was some discussion about the rear yards. These lots, all the rear yards will have an easement in them to accommodate the drainage. So you'll have a 20-foot drainage easement. A lot of times that drainage easement is split between, if their lots are back to back, that 20-foot drainage easement is shared with the neighbor or it's in the open space. But between the rear yard setback and the building envelope, we can accommodate at a minimum a 15-foot deck. So all this information is on the plans. We do have the rear yard easements, but even with our biggest home being 60 feet and a 20-foot easement, you still have a 15-foot deck. And in most of these units, it's a significantly larger area for those decks. So all those are shown on the detailed engineering plan. So I really don't have a concern about these homes being able to accommodate a really nice deck. but certainly answer any further questions on that you might have. As Brian mentioned, we're providing a pedestrian crossing. We're also contributing $15,000 to the Township Park Fund. That was a discussion early on. And again, part of our benefit is we have over 12 acres of permanent open space created with this development. So we're pretty excited how it came out. I know Pulte Homes is very excited about Lyon Township, and we're here to answer any questions you or the board may have, sir. So that's all I have.
I just want to clarify, the contribution would go to the Park and Recreation Fund and not specifically to 11 Mile Park, correct?
That's how I believe it was set up.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Okay, thank you, Bill. Thanks for the presentation there. I'd like to open it up for any comments that the board might have. So anyone like to start the conversation and have any questions for the project, please go ahead and start.
Stop sharing.
John, I can start off.
Go ahead, Chris.
And I'll start off by saying I was the one that kind of had the questions about the decks and pool areas, and then I appreciate that exhibit that you put into the packet. That put my mind at ease, because we've had a couple subdivisions now where a person bought the home and couldn't really put in a reasonable deck on there. So it looks like that's all in order. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys looking at that. One of the things that I actually emailed Brian Kesey, and I think we got a response today, as part of your community benefit on this project, you were still, I'm confirming that you're still going to be putting in the call it reforestation, but the tree plugs on that north part of the parcel.
Yes. To answer that question, yeah, I think it shows up on L1. They want to reforest, so we'll be putting a bunch of the saplings on that north side to help reforest that area. That's still a commitment and part of our plan. Yes.
Okay. Excellent. And then the sidewalk was connected. You have the Deer Haven connection to the crosswalk to get across Griswold, so that's appreciated as well. So, I mean, the other stuff I had made comments on previously, some of the setback modifications and stuff, I know those didn't change. And I think the other items that you've brought forth has kind of made this a good project with the saplings and the connectivity between the pathways. So, yeah, I guess that's all I had.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little better project than we originally okayed. I think it's a good project, and I think you are putting some extras into it that we appreciate. Anyone else like to add anything, please?
I just really quick wanted to mention that I thought it was helpful, Brian, that you kind of framed some of the discussion tonight about the density by comparing it, or regarding density by comparing it to the projects immediately north and south. It's zoned industrial in that area. It's master plan residential, and I think that this is going to be, much lower density and definitely in line with, where I think the township wanted to be with its master plan. So I can be supportive of that and some of the other things that have been discussed tonight. So that's all I have.
Anyone else like to add?
John, I'd just like to reiterate some of the previous comments.
Go ahead, please.
Specifically the plan sheet that does show the decks and patios do fit in the rear yards without encroaching on the proposed easements. I really appreciate that visual for me. And reiterate Carol's comment regarding the contribution to the park fund. I just have a question. If it is to Parks and Recreation, would it be something that we could also use for sidewalks and pathways, or would it only be for parks, Carol?
If we're designating it for Parks and Recreation, that's what it'd have to be used for. So it would be up to them. It would be up to them whether they wanted to change it to make it to that as well as an alternative.
Okay. So sidewalks don't fall under recreation, or they?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, whichever is the the overall plan, as long as it's not just dedicated to 11 Mile, I'm comfortable with the parks, just Parks and Recreation in general. I do like the reforestation plan of the tree plugs going into the north part of the parcel. And I am specifically quite happy with the crosswalk connection so that it provides a safe pedestrian and bicycle pathway for our residents. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. Robert?
Yeah, I was gonna say pretty much everything Lisa just said, so I'll just let that be that. But then additionally, I was a little confused, I guess, by the removal of the connection to Hutsfield. In looking at it, on one of the, on what is this, sheet 6, there's actually like what looks like an easement on the Hutsfield side, or a gap between those two parcels where it would have gone in. So I guess I'm curious about what happened, why there isn't a pathway there to connect to, if that's anything you can speak to.
You want to say it, Brian? Or?
Yeah, I can take that. It was actually something that Leslie had pointed it out, and I agree, and the Planning Commission agreed that that area in Hutsfield is actually not an access easement. It's a stormwater easement, I believe, right, Leslie? And so for us to provide an access easement to that really wouldn't improve any connectivity between the two projects.
Okay, yeah, no, it wasn't like, I mean, it's not a terribly far walk to go along the sidewalk frontage on Griswold. It just seemed odd to me. And also, the only other weird thing to me about the site plan is there's a gap between units 12 and 13. Is that another, like, a stormwater thing? Or I guess all of your other lots, their side property lines touch except those ones.
Well, what I would tell you is by condominium code, you have to provide access to every open space area by law. So we have from a public access point. So I think that might be just an access to the open space.
All right.
You're talking access, probably that landscape berm all the way to the east end.
Yeah, yep. The rear,
So
yes.
maintenance vehicles can get there if there's ever.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Everything answered for you, Robert? Yep. Okay, Michelle, you want to add anything, or are you all good?
I am good.
Okay.
John, I had one more.
Go ahead.
One more
Go ahead,
question that
Chris.
just popped in my head. I know Carol and I think Leslie had mentioned the PD agreement already is going to be reviewed, but would that be then, since this is the first, this would be a first reading, so to speak, would we be able to see that before the second reading?
I don't know what we've typically done. I don't believe you've actually reviewed the PD agreements. Brian, can you help me on this?
Yeah, we normally put them in the packet.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we just finished everything this afternoon, Chris, on all the documents. So, because some changes had to be made. But yes, we can get that in.
Yeah, so within a day or two, we can like go ahead and open up the May meeting already and just stick it right in there so you guys have lots of
Yeah,
time.
so Joe,
Okay.
have your attorney clean them up to me and get them to me tomorrow.
Sure, Carol, not a problem.
Okay. All right.
You good with that, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think everyone has talked about this. Is a motion to be in order?
I will move AP 17-57 to second reading, subject to all of the discussion tonight, as well as the review letters and comments associated with the project.
Okay, do we have support for that?
I'll support. Oh, sorry about that. Who is ready?
You beat me, Michelle.
Okay, Michelle Cash.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, we're going to move on to our second item, GR LLC West Building Special Land Use, AP 2020 49B. Brian, you want to start that one out?
I will. Thank you, John. Um, Before you denied as a special land use that's been recommended by the Planning Commission. They held their public hearing at their March 8th meeting and reviewed the site plan as well. That site plan was approved contingent upon special land use approval for this building. This is a 108,000 square foot spec building at this point in time. It could feasibly be used for any of the permitted land uses in our industrial district, specifically in our I-1 light industrial district. And then any additional, any tenant that's going to fill this building would be subject to special land use review too, since this is being proposed as a spec building. The reason it's before you this evening is because the majority of the site that is going to be developed is within our wellhead protection district. North is to the left on this map, but the wellhead overlay crosses the majority of the site. In terms of finding your bearings, the Amazon parking lot that was before the board last year is just to the south. This site will be using that same access drive. It's essentially a shared driveway for the industrial uses. As a spec building, we don't have all of the information for the final tenant. The industrial activity statement and things like that will be provided and evaluated at a future date. But in terms of the criteria of the ordinance for a special land use, we find that this is an appropriate use of the site. It's in our industrial district. The uses can all fit along the Grand River corridor as an industrially zoned and planned project. Adequate public services are available for the site. And in terms of a traffic impact, this property itself will introduce new square footage, no substantial increases in the delays per vehicle on Grand River Avenue as provided in the traffic study. And if you recall, there are improvements that are going to be made to Grand River in this area as a result of the Amazon project. So those are considered sufficient for this project as well. In our review letter, we note that the project, there is not a specific basis of need for the project other than we continue to see spec buildings and high occupancy rates in the area. I'm sorry, very low vacancy rates, high occupancy rates for all of our industrial users. So we know that this type of product continues to be in high demand. In terms of the compatibility with the natural environment, you can see there's a conservation easement on the west side of this project, or the northwest part of this project. All of the built improvements are outside of the 25-foot wetland buffer, and so we really have no concerns. All of the stormwater is being handled on site, and we believe all of the standards of site plan approval are being met here. There's very few trees that are coming out as a result of this project. So it really is, in terms of an industrial use, pretty low impact for the site. As I mentioned, some of our wellhead protection specific standards we don't have sufficient information to ensure compliance with those standards. We think they can be met, but we won't know until a specific user is proposed for the site. So at this point, we have no concerns, but it will be evaluated again and brought before the board again as a special land use. All of those things being said, we think it meets all of the standards for special land use approval in our industrial district and recommend approval in accordance with the Planning Commission's recommendation as well. You can take any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian at this time?
Yeah, I have a quick one.
Go ahead, Chris.
When I was going through the Planning Commission meeting minutes on this, it didn't sound like there was any public comment, but they also made the motion and they needed to go to the ZBA as well for some utilities in the wetlands. Has that happened yet, or does that happen after the special land use?
They can't actually apply for that until they get a determination from you as the township board. So if the intent is to continue with that plan and install them in the wetland buffer, they would have to get a variance for that after you make your determination.
Okay.
Any other questions for Brian at this time? Okay. Leslie, you have anything to add?
We have no issues with their request.
Okay, and I think the applicants probably are here. Is there any questions anyone has that they don't understand, or anything they'd like to ask the applicant on this special land use? Hi, Mr. Clark.
Hi, John. Good to see you.
No questions? Okay, if no one has any questions and they understand this, then motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the special land use AP 20-49B GR LLC West Building.
We have support.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and a support. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Very much. All right, we're going to move on to the Pinehurst Plan Development Minor PD Amendment. I believe this will be a Brian start too. So Brian, you want to fill us in?
I will. Thank you, John. I don't normally get this kind of workout with this board, so
Better you than me.
I appreciate it. For those of you familiar with Pinehurst or unfamiliar with Pinehurst, it's a single-family residential development on 10 Mile Road. The project has been approved and largely built out, and part of the original approval was the inclusion of Peter's Barn, which you may be familiar with, visible from 10 Mile Road. In addition to that, all of the land used for the stormwater collection, this entire large parcel has been included in a historic preservation easement since the time that this project was envisioned. The request before you this evening is to vacate the historic preservation easement that is on the parcel, this large parcel. The historic preservation easement would remain on the Peters Barn property, as well as this single family home that is on 10 Mile Road. And the purpose behind this is largely to separate these items out, to incorporate the stormwater into the Pinehurst condominium as a general common element, which makes a lot of sense to us from a practical standpoint. They're the ones who are maintaining it largely and are responsible for the collection of all the stormwater there. So with the changes that are proposed, all of the Peters Barn property and the single family home would still have rights to discharge their surface stormwater into the detention pond. So from a practical standpoint, nothing here is really changing. The Michigan Historic Commission has approved this change. They signed off on the application, so you do have their proof of approval for this request. Ultimately, what this comes down to is if the Peters.
Oh, we lost Brian.
Maintained and preserved in accordance with the state's standards for conservation of a historic element. But it does give the homeowners association a little bit of flexibility when it comes to the amenities that they're responsible for. We have no concerns with this request. The Planning Commission reviewed it and recommended approval of it as well. I know Mr. Heron is here this evening on behalf of the Homeowners Association and could answer any additional questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Now myself, I look at this and I don't think that there should be any reason for any of us to be against it. I mean, basically the PD's asking for it, and the Historical Society has no problem allowing it to happen. That's just my opinion. Anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, John, it sounds straightforward. I guess my only question, and does this have any like result? Would this result in any taxpayer implications or any additional cost to anybody? Or is this just
No, this is Matt Heron. I'm speaking for. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Brian did a very good job of describing what's going on. That retention pond, if it comes into the condominium, it would come in as a general common element, but it would continue to be maintained. The barn itself, to the extent that that stands to be a taxable item, the parcels that house those items would not be coming into the condominium. There is a principle that says that if something is a general common element, it won't be taxed, but the houses themselves, the portions that will remain subject to the historical easement will remain outside of the condominium and their taxing status will not change.
okay? Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, the people in Pinehurst or, the township in general, if this, no one's all of a sudden gonna get stuck with a tax bill on this or something weird.
No, not that I know of. It's not expected, honestly.
Okay. Well, again, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think all parties are wanting this to happen. So any other questions? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve AP 21-05.
I will support Michelle Cash.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we're going to move on to the consideration of the local approval to recognize South Lyon East High School Football Boosters as a nonprofit organization, and these are just formalities. This basically gives us the ability to fill out this sheet, I believe, to stand behind them for this 501c3 recognition. It's pretty much a formality. We've done this before.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thanks. Moving on to the contract award for the Grand River Avenue and Martindale Road sidewalks. Chris, you want to take it? Lisa, you guys were instrumental in this thing. It's pretty exciting. You guys want to talk about it, or you want to?
Sure. I guess these are a couple of spots that were identified by some of the residents, and actually Patty, who's not on today. The Martindale and 11 Mile section are crossings at that four-way stop on the south and east leg, because right now there's no crossings on all the legs. So this would complete the crossings in the township portion of that intersection. So that gets connectivity to the Huron Valley Trail. And the other section is Grand River by the post office. That frontage, which basically kind of connects the New Hudson area over to the Huron Valley Trail. What Patty had mentioned is that a lot of people have been parking at the vacant lot east of the post office and have, kind of biked to the trail that way. So that's kind of a nice, unique spot too, because it also, those are lower road volumes by Dolson Elementary. So that kind of helps people get through that area as well. So those were the two spots, and prices look good to me.
This is really some good stuff, and I think Leslie has done some homework on it, and I think she's got everything in order. Leslie, you want to give us an update on what you've got here?
Yep, so we bid these 2 sections of sidewalk as one project, and we did publicly bid them, and we received 6 bids. The low bid was submitted by KD Cement in the amount of $37,677.50. And we've checked their references. We have personally never worked with them, my team, but their references were all very good. The second bid was submitted by GM and Sons in the amount of $43,460. GM and Sons did the work at fire station number 2, and our experience was very positive with them. But however, we were impressed with KD Cement's references. Therefore, we are recommending that the township award the project to KD Cement in the amount of $37,677.50. And we also recommend that the township allocate a 15% contingency for anything unforeseen during construction.
So 15% on top of 37, you're
Yes.
thinking? Okay. Want to do the math on that real quick?
Yeah, I can make a motion to approve the Grand River Avenue and Martindale Road sidewalks for an amount not to exceed $43,329.13.
I'll support.
All right, we have a motion to support. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, we're going to move on. I think this one, Brian's going to open this one up. This is the ordinance to amend the private roads. I think we missed kind of a very wide easement on the private roads for a shared driveway. You want to go ahead, Brian, and just go ahead and open that up for us?
I will. Thank you, John. So in our recently approved modifications to allow private roads, if you recall, we allowed for a shared private driveway to access not more than 2 homes. And with that, we incorporated an easement width of 30 feet minimum. And now that this ordinance is active, we've had discussions with several residents who question why that width needs to be 30 feet when we're only requiring 9 feet of material, whether it be paved or gravel for that road. It does become a little bit prohibitive as we've been walking through examples. If, for instance, you have a 30-foot easement that's split down the middle of 2 properties, that's 15 feet, and then the side setbacks go off of that 15 feet as well. So essentially, we're adding a lot of setback area that could be built on for very little gain. In discussions with Brian Holzheimer, he was okay with a smaller easement width. This does not mean that people cannot add to that width if they want. If they want a 20 or 30-foot wide easement, they could certainly do that. But we just found, looking back through the research, that we didn't have any direct comparables to the shared private driveway easement. 30 feet seemed reasonable, but in practice seems a little bit prohibitive. So we're requesting consideration of a change down to 15 feet.
So basically, I think 30 foot for a driveway for 2 houses was a little bit wide. I think we figured out that 27 feet was curb to curb on a 2-lane highway. So it was a little bit big. So that's what we're talking. And anybody have any questions or?
Just that this would be the minimum, right? So if somebody did want to put in
minimum.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyone else have any questions or not?
Does it make any sense to have something that talks about like how much the easement would have to extend beyond the actual surface? So like if you've got, 15 feet of pavement and then a 15-foot easement, would there be any problem in that scenario where you would need to have space on the edge of the pavement to do anything?
You have to remember, we're talking about driveway. We're talking about a driveway for 2 houses. It's not, any easements or if they needed any utilities brought up, they'd be on them. you know,
Okay.
any reasons to make it any wider. So,
No, it wasn't a wider, just while we were checking, making sure.
I'll make a motion to move ordinance number 404-21 to second reading.
I'll support.
a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We're going to move on to authorize the West Nile reimbursement. We do this every year, and this is another thing that we need to do to get our money back. So,
Yep, Mel does a good job with this, and if we do have the resolution in, I believe, sometime in May, then we're able to recoup our monies. So this is a good thing. If everybody's ready, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-13 for the West Nile Virus Fund.
Support.
all right, motion and support.
Robert?
Robert, do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Resolution 2021-14, extending the outdoor sales through March of 2022. I don't know, Carol, is that you or is Tina want to talk about that one?
I suppose either of us could. I mean, basically, you know, it's been going well, doing this program. Is Tina still here? I thought she was just
Yep, I'm
here.
on.
Oh, okay, there you are. So we just, you know, we want to, you know, things are still really tough and things are still unresolved. So it makes sense to us to go ahead and extend this and extend it also through the upcoming winter, just in case.
And it has been a huge help. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
two ways
it
about
has
it.
been.
These businesses, and especially the restaurants, have been struggling, and it's been really good for them. And Tina's been really on top of stuff, and
Yes,
it's
she
been a good
has.
thing. So it's just an extension, to keep them going.
Correct.
Anyone want to make that motion?
I do have a quick question. I guess I know it's the same form language we've been using, but in 4A, we're talking about how it's limited to restaurants and bars, yet in the body of 4, we're talking about applicability to retail businesses, barber shops, salons. So it part of it seems wider, and then we seem to restrict it again without.
I mean, that is true. I noticed that, and that's something that has consistently been in the resolution. I think the concept is that you're really not going to have people getting a greenhouse to cut hair outside or something like that. So what we've really been seeing has been relief to the restaurants.
I think too, there's a designation, it's designated differently because we were tying that resolution to the liquor control and their
Right.
approach to it as well.
Okay, I guess I'm wondering, like, would there be any problem with removing 4A in case you did have a retailer that wanted to take advantage of being able to do things outside?
I don't see how a retailer could do something outside because you're talking about, I mean, you'd have a little, for example, a little greenhouse. You're not going to move merchandise out there to sell. You'd have to have somebody out there too. So it really only works for our restaurants. So I guess if you were going to do anything, you'd probably remove the reference to the other uses above.
Okay. Then, yeah, I guess either way, it seems weird to have it inconsistent. So if we want to keep it just restaurants, that's fine, because I think that's all that's used it. But
Tina, any comments on that?
Yeah, I would just say, I think we had kept it retailers because it would be, I mean, we don't have very many independent
Right.
retailers. A lot of our retailers are big boxes. But it would be for a retailer, like a good example would be Sport Horse Saddlery, if they wanted to do like a sidewalk sale where they would take
Right.
some product and put it.
that's the exact scenario that I'm saying.
Right.
It's weird to
They
have
would put
4A
it out,
in place.
right. They would put it outside. They wouldn't necessarily use a greenhouse for that, but it would permit them to have an outdoor sales setup.
Okay. Is it worth changing, or do we want to just leave it the way it is?
I think I would leave it.
Anybody have any other concerns about that?
I mean, I guess I'd leave it up to Tina if you think it's good the way it is, and Carol, you know, doesn't matter to me. Whatever seems to work best for the businesses is where I would lean toward.
I think it's been working. I think
Yeah, it has.
the way it's written and our thinking on extending it, I think it's going to be beneficial.
Okay. You okay with that, Robert?
Agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
My only thing, I guess, to add would be at what point does it make sense to consider actually making some permanent ordinance changes
Oh,
to
I don't
allow
think we'll
some
do
of the
that.
statistical
but-
portions of this? Not tonight, but just as a point of something to look at.
Okay, well, could happen. All right, anyone would like to make that motion to approve the extension?
I'll make a motion to, oh my goodness, I can't speak. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2021-14 to extend the outdoor sales event until March 30th of 2022.
Support, Robert.
All right. We have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, moving on to the approval of the 2021 through 2024 fire dispatch service agreement between Oakland County and Lyon Township. And this has been something that's been working very well for us. So, and I know Ken is here and he could speak for this, but we'd like to continue using the dispatch service from Oakland County. Is that right, Ken?
I agree. Yeah, it's been seamless. It's been working out great.
And it's good for our safety of the township. So any questions about this, or if not, a motion be in order to move this forward?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire dispatch service agreement between County of Oakland and the Township of Lyon as outlined in our packet.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Fantastic, everyone. I think that concludes our meeting tonight of all of our new business. Does anyone want to add anything before we adjourn?
All good.
Okay, seeing everyone is good, we're going to consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks,
everybody.
8:07 p.m.
Good night.
8:07 p.m. Thank you, guys.
Have fun,
Thanks. Good
Charlie.
night.
Greatly
Thanks.
appreciated.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night. Thanks, Brian.